Being single doesn't mean being incomplete. It means being in control. We've been fed a lie by culture, by movies, by social media, that if you're single, something is wrong with you. That if you're not constantly in someone's arms, you must be broken or lacking. But that's not truth. That's conditioning. The reality is, being single can be one of the most powerful seasons of your life. It's the season where you are fully in control of your time, your energy, your environment, your thoughts, and your focus. It's the season where you decide who you are without influence, without compromise, without the pressure to perform for anyone else. It's the season where your habits are formed, your dreams are developed, and your identity is cemented. A man who is single isn't weak. He's potentially in the most formative stage of his life. And if he chooses to use that time wisely, he won't just attract a relationship, he'll build a legacy. Control doesn't mean control over others, it means mastery over self. When you're single, you're not pulled in different emotional directions trying to please someone else or constantly trying to meet expectations you didn't set. You're not distracted by drama, confusion, or the emotional roller coaster that often comes with premature or toxic relationships. You get to build a schedule that serves your goals. You get to create routines that refine your discipline. You get to ask yourself deep questions about who you want to be, where you want to go, and what kind of man you must become to get there. That level of control is rare and it's valuable. Most people waste their single years trying to fill the silence with noise, trying to numb the discomfort with attention. But a real man uses the silence to build inner strength. He uses the discomfort to identify weakness and strengthen it. That's not weakness, that's leadership. When you're single, you're free to be intentional. You don't have to explain your growth to anyone. You can outgrow people, environments, and even old versions of yourself without apology. You're allowed to say no without guilt. You can close your door at night and not worry about performing for someone else's mood or expectations. And in that space, you find peace. That peace becomes sacred. It becomes the standard. It teaches you that love is not just about butterflies or chemistry. It's about alignment. And when you truly understand that, you stop tolerating anything that threatens that peace. You stop entertaining relationships that are cute in public but chaotic in private. You stop chasing attention and start seeking alignment with purpose. You realize love is not something you run after. It's something that meets you while you're walking in obedience. There is a kind of clarity that only comes in solitude, when no one's texting you good morning, when no one's calling to complain about their day, when no one's around to distract you with compliments or chaos. In that space, you learn who you are when no one is watching. That's where you find your real value, because if you can be content, peaceful, and powerful without anyone next to you, then you're not driven by loneliness. You're driven by mission. That's the difference between boys and men. Boys chase feelings, men chase purpose. Boys need validation, men operate from conviction. Boys panic when they're single, men prepare when they're single. The man who understands this begins to see singleness not as a punishment, but as preparation. There's also wisdom in being single by choice. Most people rush into relationships to avoid the work of healing, self-reflection, or confronting their own demons. But if you're brave enough to remain single until you've dealt with your insecurities, your emotional triggers, and your childhood wounds, then you're setting yourself up for a healthy future. because no one wants to inherit the trauma you never took the time to resolve. No one wants to be responsible for the self-worth you never developed. So while the world is shouting, find someone, the wise man is saying, let me become someone worth finding. And when you do that, when you prioritize becoming over chasing, you stop being a consumer of love and become a producer of value. That changes everything. Control also means freedom. Freedom from manipulation, freedom from settling, freedom from being someone you're not just to be accepted. When you're in control, you don't fake it to impress anyone. You don't shrink to make someone else comfortable. You don't compromise core values for companionship. You know who you are, what you believe, and where you're headed. That self-awareness makes you dangerous in the best way. Because the man who doesn't need a relationship is the one most prepared to lead one. He brings strength, not stress. He brings solutions, not confusion. He brings vision, not vanity. That's what being in control produces. It produces a man who is stable, secure, and unshakable. Now, there's also a financial clarity that comes from being single. You learn how to manage your money without anyone's expectations swaying your decisions. You set goals, you save, you invest. You learn how to live within your means and how to stretch yourself towards something greater. Financial stewardship is often neglected when you're emotionally entangled with someone who doesn't share your mindset. But as a single man in control, you build wealth with wisdom. And when the right woman comes into your life, you're not scrambling, you're ready. You've already established systems, boundaries, and direction. You're not wondering if you can lead, you're already leading your own life. Being single also forces emotional discipline. You can't run to someone to vent every time life gets hard. You can't rely on someone else to regulate your emotions. So you learn how to pray more. You learn how to breathe through stress instead of exploding under it. You start journaling, meditating, training your mind. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with maturity. You don't just build muscle in your body, you build emotional muscle. You stop craving dopamine and start craving discipline. That's how kings are made. And when that day comes that you do enter a relationship, you bring a level of calm and control that is rare and deeply needed. In control doesn't mean isolated, it means intentional. It means you're open to love, but not addicted to the idea of it. You're available, but not desperate. You're approachable, but not accessible to just anyone. That's called standards. That's called value. When you're in control, you don't just open your heart to whoever shows interest. You ask the deeper questions. Do they align with your purpose? Do they understand your vision? Do they add peace or drain it? Do they inspire growth or feed comfort zones? These are questions only a man in control asks. Because a man out of control will settle for anything that looks good instead of waiting for what is truly good for him. Finally, being single and in control means you're becoming the kind of man who doesn't need a relationship to feel masculine, valuable, or loved. You know your identity comes from something greater than romantic involvement. It comes from discipline, integrity, and divine purpose. You don't wait for love to treat yourself with respect. You don't wait for a partner to pursue excellence. You don't wait for anyone to validate your worth, because your life is not on pause. Your mission is not on hold. You are building now. You are growing now. You are becoming now. And when the right person walks into your life, they will not rescue you, they will recognize you. This is what it means to be a man who is single and in control. You are not less. You are not lonely. You are not behind. You are intentional. You are aware. You are strong, and you are prepared. Don't rush what God is still writing. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay faithful, because the man who honors the season of singleness will be trusted with the season of partnership. And when that time comes, you won't just have love, you'll have legacy. Aloneness is not weakness. It's a season of inner strength and self-mastery. Society may try to paint the image that a man who walks alone is a man who's lacking something. But that narrative is a lie. Sometimes the strongest man is the one who can sit in silence without needing validation, without needing affection, without needing attention. He wakes up every day and builds his own life, not for show, not for applause, but because he has a vision. Loneliness is where the noise dies down and clarity speaks. It's where you separate from distractions, from false promises, and from shallow connections. It's where you learn the sound of your own thoughts and face your own shadows. That takes strength. Not everyone can do it, but the man who does, he becomes a fortress, unshakable, unmovable. Being single doesn't mean being incomplete. It means being in control. You're not waiting for someone to rescue you or define you. You're not out here searching for someone to make you feel worthy. You already know your worth. You're building, growing, working on yourself, and establishing a foundation no one can tear down. There's something powerful about a man who isn't desperate for companionship. He isn't led by lust, pressure, or insecurity. He's led by purpose. He knows that just because he could be in a relationship doesn't mean he should be. He knows that rushing into something just to say he has someone can ruin the very destiny he's preparing for. Real control is when you can have options but choose patience. That's not weakness. Solitude can be the training ground for purpose, discipline, and clarity. When you don't have distractions, you have the space to develop focus. When your nights are quiet, your mind gets loud with ideas, with introspection, with strategy. Solitude is where warriors are made. It's in the silence where your prayer life deepens, where your character is refined, where your resilience is tested. While others are chasing temporary attention, you're mastering the art of staying consistent. You learn to show up for yourself, to cook for yourself, to clean for yourself, to take care of your body, your finances, your home, your soul. And in that daily practice, you're preparing for the life you actually want, not the one the world says you should have. That's the beauty of solitude. It's where the foundation of greatness is laid. A man who learns to enjoy his own company becomes mentally untouchable. He doesn't fold under loneliness because he isn't lonely. He's alive. He doesn't seek validation through shallow flings or temporary pleasures. He's not looking to be entertained. He's looking to be elevated. When you enjoy your own company, you become selective with who you allow into your world. Not everyone can sit with you if they disrupt your peace. Not everyone can date you if they distract you from your goals. You stop tolerating mediocrity because you've tasted the richness of self-respect. And the man who respects himself won't settle for less than purpose, peace, and power. That kind of man is rare. And when you become rare, you stop chasing and start attracting. Loneliness is different from aloneness. One drains you, the other builds you. Loneliness is a cry for connection, often rooted in insecurity and desperation. Aloneness, however, is a conscious choice to disconnect from the world so you can reconnect with your purpose. One leaves you empty, the other fills you up. One begs for someone to notice you, the other demands you notice yourself. When you understand the difference, you stop fearing time alone. You start to embrace it. You start to use it. You start to realize that no one can complete you, only you can do that. And the moment you stop searching for someone to fill your gaps, you begin to realize you were never broken in the first place. You were just unfinished. And that's okay. Aloneness is where you finish becoming. Just because you don't have a partner now doesn't mean you're not valuable. It means you're being prepared. Preparation doesn't always feel glamorous. It's quiet, it's disciplined, it's sacrificial. While others are out trying to find someone, you're being refined into someone. You're learning how to lead, how to love yourself, how to manage stress, how to carry responsibility. You're building emotional intelligence, spiritual sensitivity, and practical wisdom. So when the time comes and the right person appears, you're not coming in needy, you're coming in ready. You're not looking for someone to fix you. You've already done the work. You bring stability, clarity, and maturity to the table. And if she's a woman of substance, she'll recognize the difference immediately. There is dignity in a man who chooses patience over desperation. In a world that celebrates hookups and fast love, it takes real courage to wait. It takes boldness to say, I'd rather be alone than with the wrong one. Desperation creates chaos. It causes men to compromise their standards, their values, their future. But patience brings peace. Patience says, I don't need her. I'll meet her when the time is right. Patience says, I won't water myself down to be accepted. I'll keep growing until I'm undeniable. That kind of dignity sets you apart. It's not arrogance, it's self-awareness, it's self-control, and that is the mark of a true man. Not how many women he can chase, but how much he can discipline his emotions and stay focused on his mission. Your worth isn't validated by a relationship status, it's validated by your mindset and your mission. Too many men are chasing women before they chase purpose. And then they wonder why they feel lost, even when they're not alone. Your value doesn't rise or fall based on who you're dating. Your value comes from what you're building, from who you're becoming, from how you respond to adversity, from how you treat yourself when no one is watching. A man with a mission is a man of magnetism. People are drawn to him, not because he's begging for attention, but because he's moving in purpose. His standards are high because his future is heavy. His vision is clear, and he doesn't entertain anything that clouds it. That's where your worth lies, not in a relationship, but in your responsibility to become who you were born to be. Many men find their power in isolation because that's where focus lives. Distraction is everywhere. Entertainment, social media, lust, noise. But the man who can isolate, not to escape, but to elevate, finds a focus most people never reach. In isolation, he sets his goals. He builds his routines. He faces his addictions. He stops lying to himself. He finds out what he's made of. He confronts the version of himself that's been holding him back and starts shaping the version that's going to take him forward. That kind of focus doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the fire of solitude. And when you've been through that fire, you don't just walk different, you live different. You speak different. You expect different. Because now you know who you are without applause, without a partner, without approval. That's power. Real love comes when you're whole, not when you're looking for someone to complete you. Completion is an illusion sold by fairy tales. Real relationships are not about filling emptiness. They're about multiplying purpose. And if you haven't discovered your own yet, you'll sabotage theirs. Two broken people don't create wholeness, they create wounds. But two whole people, that's legacy. So the work begins in your alone time. You become the man who brings stability, not drama, who brings clarity, not confusion, who brings vision, not chaos. You don't show up asking, what can she give me? You show up asking, what am I bringing to her life? And the answer to that question can only be discovered in the quiet seasons when no one's watching, when you're grinding in silence. That's when the real man is born. So to the man who lives alone without a girlfriend, don't let the world make you feel behind. You are not behind, you are becoming. You are not lonely, you are aligning. You are not forgotten, you are being forged. This season may feel quiet, but don't confuse silence with stagnation. Every day you rise, every choice you make, every time you show up for yourself, you're sowing seeds into a future that many won't understand until it blooms. Keep building. Keep becoming. The man you're becoming in private will one day be celebrated in public, not for his charm, but for his character, not for who he chased, but for what he built. Keep going. You don't need a girlfriend to be great. You need to be grounded, focused, and faithful. And when the time is right, the right person will find you walking in your purpose, not waiting in your pain.